Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for joining the session. Uh, Before I start, I wanted to, request a couple of things. The most important thing is let's make this session interactive. So, if someone has any thoughts, please share your thoughts. If someone has any, any questions, please ask those questions. If someone wants to, pitch in and want to answer any questions which has been, asked, kindly do so. So let's make it, an interactive discussion rather than just someone a boring guy like me and coming and just speaking out. So let's not do that. So my name is Ankur Mahajan. I'm the Agile Studio head. uh, I'm working with awesome folks, in my studio and within my studio, as well as outside my studio. We are very much looking into the agile stuff across the organization, as well as, in the at the same time, project management. We are also into the quality assurance, but in a very, very lean manner. However, we are getting it there. So today's session is about the business analyst role, agile and organization wide. So I will be going through a very, very small deck and sharing my thoughts that how a business analyst is enabling different stakeholders in the organization when it comes to the agile, as well as in the normal circumstances and scenarios as well. So at the end of the session, I think we are going to go with a a good understanding of a business analyst, what business analysis is, what business analyst is, and what are the role a business analyst play while working with different stakeholders in the agile as well as organization wide. So our agenda will be business analysis. What is business analysis? What is business? Who is a business analyst? And role of a business analyst when working with business stakeholders, project managers, product owners, architects, agile coach, developer, quality analyst, and operations. So there are 8 roles which I have put in, but I'm sure that you may be having more thoughts that how a business analyst is working with other stakeholders as well. Uh, so business analysis. So let's talk about that. What is business analysis? So business analysis is basically nothing new. It's just a, analysis in order to enable or solve a problem. So basically, it is very important to first of all to understand what a problem is, understand the need, understand the requirement of that problem, and then do some analysis, do some solution validation, propose some solutions, and at the same time deliver value to the stakeholders. And the stakeholders could be internal to the organization, and they could be external to the organization, or they could be internally to the initiative slash project slash program, or they could be external to the initiatives and programs and projects. So I think, if we go by the definition which is given by the International Institute of Business Analysis, which states that business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining the needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to the stakeholders. So someone may ask that, who is a stakeholder? What's the definition of a stakeholder? So, as per, my understanding and what I have seen, a stakeholder is someone who will be impacted in a positive or in a negative way when a certain kind of a initiative, project, program, product, or any change is initiated in the organization. And so that's what a stakeholder is. So here in this slide, you will see, there are 2 main concepts which I have input in. The first one is about this is around, business analysis, as well as, what are the different techniques they use and what are the main core concepts of the business analysis model. So, in the as we are getting mature in the IT industry, you could see that there are a number of analysis role coming up. They could be like business analysis or a technical analysis. They could be data analysis, financial analysis, system analysis, process analysis, business process analysis, and so on and so forth. But in all these roles, the thing is common, which is the there is a there is a problem to solve, and then there are solutions to be recommended. And that solution could be in the form of a product. It could be in the form of a process, and so on and so forth. Uh, there, before I move into the business analysis core concept model, anyone wants to ask any question or want to add something to it? Or if someone wants to save it till the end, that's okay as well. Okay, I'll continue. So like in the business analysis, there are six main core concepts uh, are considered. The first one is, whenever like for example that we are working in an organization like Nashtec now, which is an India delivery center, and then there are two things that can happen when a project is started. The first one is someone tells us that there is a problem and we do need to solve that problem, right? And the other one is that we see that there is a problem, and then we basically transforms that problem into a project or a program or an initiative. So that's what we do. And when these things they basically started, the business analysis, it consists of six main things. The first one is the business analysis planning and monitoring. The second one is the requirement analysis. The third one is the requirements comms or the lifecycle management. The fourth one is the strategy analysis, or we also call it as an enterprise analysis. The fifth one is analysis and design documentation or design initiation. And then we have solution validation, solution options, and solution evaluation. So which has been very well described in this very small uh, picture. Now, the business analysis core concept, it has got like six main terms, which is changes. So let's start with actually, like stakeholders, needs, changes, solutions, context, and value. And if you see, like all of these things, like they basically more or less are talking to each other. So basically, like if there is a need, a change is required, solutions will be proposed, contexts are there, a value is given, stakeholders they are satisfied. If you start with any of these things, you will see that there is a very uh, coupling between all of these concepts. Uh, I will move to the next slide, which is who is a business analyst and what are the business analysis work activities that they do. So, if someone asks me, who is a business analyst, I will simply say, like business analyst is someone who is basically helping in order to identify the problem, identify the need, and helping ways to solve that problem. And that person is the analyst. That could be in the form of like a business analyst or technical analyst or so on so forth, as I mentioned before. Here also like a business analyst, he works with internal as well as external stakeholders. So like if I ask like who are the internal stakeholders, and then who are the external stakeholders? So internal stakeholders, they are the stakeholders which are basically like uh, internal to the organization or to the initiative, and external stakeholders are who are external to the project or the organization, depending on like what's the context of it. And probably like there could be some stakeholders who may overlap like or become like internal stakeholders sometimes, and they probably become external stakeholders at some point in time. And in the next picture, like which we are going to talk about, you will see, like here a pictorial diagram has been presented. Has been taken, like I just had a concept of, like one of the movies. I think it's like Wreck-It Ralph. I think that's the movie from where I took that concept that this is the, for example, Ralph and how he was interacting with different stakeholders or uh, uh, characters in the movie. So a business analyst basically interacts with different stakeholders and wears different hats. For example, a business analyst interacts with business stakeholders, project managers, product owners, architects, agile coach, developers, quality control or quality assurance guys, as well as operations, and maybe like many others. And you can also see like some of these stakeholders, they may be like internal stakeholders, they could be like external stakeholders, but definitely this is the list of like main stakeholders that we will be talking about today. So here, what I have done, that I have tried to, like wear the hat of a, like a agile evangelist when defining that how the business analyst uh, uh, talks or enables different stakeholders. So and like to be very frank, like the role of a business analyst has not been very much changed, like when organizations they moved from like traditional methodologies to the agile methodology. However, their ways of working has undergone a change. For example, like now, instead of like defining the whole set of requirements at the start in the project initiation phase or in the planning phase, now we can have like a backlog defined, and then we have MVPs, and we starts working on those MVPs. But like elicitation of those requirements, they have remained the same. So business analyst, like enabling business stakeholders by creating the initiative objectives, business needs, business case, fact findings, business requirements, playing them back, accessibility gap, impact analysis, and so on and so forth. I think, I won't be reading all these, like bullet points. I think anyone who is interested, they can, read it at some point in time. But I think it's important for us to, like have a very quick discussion that, like how a business analyst is enabling the business stakeholders. So like business stakeholders in the project, as well as like product organizations, they are the ones who basically like comes, and they are the one who comes generally comes with a problem or a need. And business analysts, they work with like those business stakeholders to create, like for example at the top, like what's the initiative, what's the objectives of that initiative, what's the problem that we're trying to solve, what's the business need of that, and so on and so forth. Second is like a business analyst enabling the project managers. So like some of us, like who have been involved in understanding the NASDAQ processes at the moment, we could have seen that like business analysts, they are involved with like for example business stakeholders during the hatting process, and also they are very much closely working with the project managers. And how they are enabling the project managers is that by creating the project scope, helping in the creation of the project scope, helping in the creation of a project roadmap, understanding and helping with the creation of red logs and RACI and other stuff. So these are the like some of the things which has been listed as part of a business analyst enabling the project managers. So these are a few of the things which I have charted down. Now, I think this is one of the important thing is like business analyst enabling the product owners. So, like, I think it's important for us to understand that what's the definition of a product owner, or who is the product owner? Anyone in the call who wanted to share, like his her thoughts, like the definition or what's understanding of a product owner, who is a product owner? Anyone wants to like share their thoughts? Oh, Harinder, you are on mute, and I'm sure that
Sorry about that.
we may have missed some golden words. Yeah.
See in my opinion, and what I know basically based on that, so product owner is basically he owns the product basically. What all has to go in that product is something that is the prerogative of the product owner. Product owner actually understands the end users' needs, and then the possibilities of providing those features, etc., is there or not, whether it is within budget or not. So I think all that part, other than any requirement related stuff which is related to product, that is the kind of responsibility of the product owner to ascertain before it goes to basically analysis stage. So in a way, I think the The name itself is the owner of the product in all ways, in all respects, is the product owner. That's what my 2 cents.
Thank you, Harinder. Thank you. I think, like absolutely right. Like if someone asks me, I would probably, like will see the same definition. Like product owner is the one who owns the product. So when someone is owning the product, it means that that guy has, like an understanding of the product vision, and he understands the strategy that how to make that how to create that product and make that product successful. And at the same time, like the product owner is the one who may have, like a very good hold of the things, like, like what's the cost and what's the quality of the product will look like in the future, along with the scope. Of course, like when we are working in the agile methodologies, or like projects they are being executed using agile, we work on inverted triangle of constraints, which is, like the cost and the time they remains fixed. However, the scope will undergo a change. However, in the traditional methodologies, the triangle is like the scope is fixed and the cost and the time it varies. So, like Harinder, absolutely 100% right. I agree with you that he's the one who understands the product and he has, like a very good understanding of the product's vision and strategy and things like that. 100%, like I agree to you with you. Is there anyone who wants to share their thought?
Basically, I think there are some organizations where they don't have don't always have these as a separate role. Like many a times, a PO may also be like a BA or a PO. It's a same person performing both the roles. So, can you maybe elaborate more for everyone's understanding? Like, how are these two roles different? And if we have two people, how can we avoid an overlap of responsibilities to
Um,
avoid any confusion?
may I come in here, uh, Ankur? I
Yeah,
would like to respond to that actually. I think this is a very simple question, right? So
yeah,
if you have to figure out who is the product owner, you simply ask this question, okay, let's remove these features from this product and let's see where the noise goes and where in which direction the noise is going. It will stop at the product owner, right? So the person who is able to take the responsibility and take the decision about projects future, the features that project is going to offer, I think that's the person. And in many cases you're right, I think it's proxy. Sometimes there are proxies which are actually put in place for operational reasons because product owner might not be having that much time and is in a way delegating that responsibility, but decision making cannot be done by anybody other than product owner.
yeah. I mean,
Over to you.
I think this the both of these, they are very good points. Like that over a period of time when I have, like when I have worked, like with the with in the projects which are using like agile methodology, this is a very basic question asked, that the who is the product owner and who is the business analyst. Like, so as per my understanding, what happened that, like during a course of time, when, like traditional methodologies, they were like being put on rest in a specific kind of project, and the agile was coming into the picture. Like, I think the best person to take the role of a product owner was the business analyst. And I think there are very strong reasons behind that. The first and the foremost reason is that business analyst is the one who basically, like in general, have uh, the knowledge of the domain, and also, like starts working at the very start of the initiative. And as a result of which, like they're the one who basically, like who could be proxies, who could be, like a proxy product owners. So, like uh, they may wear the hat of a product owner at some point in time. For example, if like as Harinder said that, for example, when we're talking and just remove the product owner and see, like where the product will go, I think that's the right thing. Like, and like for example, if product owner is on leave or is gone somewhere, I think the best person to take that role, like in the interim, could be could be the, like a business analyst. Project managers also can claim that they can play that role, but with the business knowledge coming into that equation as a variable, I think, like business analysts, they are probably the best guys to to play that role. And coming out to the differences, I think the biggest difference, like as a simple business analyst in an agile in the agile methodology, and a product owner is that product owner is the one who has a full vision of the product, and he's the one who is basically driving the strategy, whereas the business analyst may have like a limited understanding of the product than the product owner. So basically like these two roles, they are extremely similar, and there is a very thin line of differentiation, which is generally on the lines of like uh, what the product owner knows in terms of like the product vision and strategy, and the what and also in terms of like for example costing and timelines, whereas a business analyst may have like probably a bit narrow vision than the product owner. But again, like best person I think to take the proxy role of a product owner in the real agile project is the business analyst. I mean, that's my take. And Pooja, like you asked about like the differences. I think it's a very important to mention the differences. And for that, I have written a very good article, I think, which I will share. I'll share the link of that article. Like after this session, considering like taking time into consideration. If you allow me to like go through the rest of the presentation, and I'll put the
Sure,
link in
Ankul.
this
Yeah, and
presentation later.
thanks, Narendra, for your input, and thanks, Ankul, for clarifying. Thanks a lot.
So business analyst, like we discussed about it, like how the business analyst, they can enable the product owners that by contributing to the product vision and strategy. However, as Harendra and Pooja, like mentioned that the product vision and strategy is owned by the product owner, because product owners, they're the one who are owning the product. But business analysts, they with their domain knowledge, they can cement that product vision and help in the execution, in the creation and execution of the strategy. They help in the in leading the product discovery activities, and do other stuff like like important ones are like helping working with the product owner and others in the creation of a backlog, helping the team in the refinement of the product backlog, and also most importantly in the prioritization of the requirements, or the backlog based on like a number of factors, which could be like a value associated to it, or like regulations associated with that particular requirement, or dependencies, or any risk associated to with that particular requirement. So product owner may not be having that may not be having an idea that if there is like any technical dependencies, for example, but the business analyst may have a better knowledge of it and help in the prioritization of the requirements along with the product owner. Also, like business analysts, they are also working with like different roles, like architects. Because if someone may ask, like there is no architect role or a business any architect role, like in the agile, or for example in the scrum. But like the purpose of this session is just to make everyone like aware and share some thoughts that though there are no roles defined, but how business analysts, they are enabling the architect, different stakeholders, or different enablers for that initiative. For example, with the architects, they help in the inputs to the technical solutions. They help in the assessment of the proposed solution, and also they help in the estimation as well as the technical dependencies of the requirements along with the architects. So architects, they own that along with the developers, or quality assurance guys as well, and others, but they can be enabler and can act as a bridge in order to understand, propose, and also communicate the like the dependencies, if any, and in the clarification of the requirements as well as the dependencies. Just an example. The next one is agile coach. Like this is also a very interesting thing. Like that how I have listed down like some of the things like that the business analysts, they could be proxy agile coaches or scrum masters. They help in the advocating and implementation of agile values and principles, and also provide inputs and facilitate agile ceremonies. So for example, this is the like agile for example, agile coach or scrum master role can be taken by anyone. Like be it could be like like someone from the development background can take it, or product owner probably may be hesitant to take that, but they may. But like I have seen that business analysts, they are always raising their hand, like, and uh, asking the team to be like be the proxy agile coaches if there is a need. Uh, Now, important is like business analysts, how they are helping the developers. If I may ask, like, do we have any of the developers in the session? And if yes, if someone wants to, if someone has worked with a business analyst in their project, and have seen that how they have enabled them, for example, in helping them understand the like requirements, for example, in helping them in understand the dependencies, for example, in helping them in understanding the background and things like that. Is there anyone who wants to share their thoughts? And please feel free to share your thoughts, because actually it's a very open session for everyone, and everyone's thoughts, they're very welcome. Okay, thank you. I will like share like few of the things which have seen that how a business analyst is working or enabling the developers by helping them like answering most day-to-day questions, by making the implicit requirements explicit. That is like if there are still some questions like after the planning phase as well, then like these are the ones who can like be very helpful in getting the clarifications, generally the business clarifications, but the technical clarifications as well. Also helping in the detailing of the user stories, for example, like writing the definition of done and definition of ready and acceptance criteria, and making sure that like the requirements, they are rightly decomposed. The requirements, they are following certain principles, like the invest principle, which includes that the requirements or a user story must be independent, and it must be negotiable, it must be estimable, it must be scalable, it must be testable. So these are the things like which business stakeholder sorry business analysts help to do while working with the developers. uh, the next one is how the business analysts, they are helping the quality assurance, that is the testers, or if there is anyone like in the call from the testing team and wants to share like any of their experience, not only in the project which someone is working, but anyone else, if they have worked like with a business analyst in their previous organizations. If anyone like wants to share any thoughts.
Basically, when the testers are writing the test cases and strategy, the business analysts, they can be very helpful for them to help them understand the requirements in a much
Yeah.
better way.
Yes, Pooja, rightly said. Like for example, if uh, we are planning to execute the initiative, like in the via TDD, like test-driven development approach, where like the test scenarios or test cases needs to be written. Of course, like I think business analysts, again, they play an extremely important part in helping to write the test cases, as well as review the test cases, so that like all context of a particular requirement or requirements, they are captured as part of like a test driven development approach. And if people have like, of course, like agile team, they have a good understanding of like test driven development, like, but for example, if there is someone who wants to like gain a more understanding of test driven development, please reach out to myself or like agile studio, and we will be helping you out like in understanding and explaining the test driven development approach or method. So like so they are being benefited by like by writing clear and concise acceptance criteria, so that like testers, they are able to understand it. Requirements clarifications, traceability, writing test cases scenarios, reviewing the test cases scenarios, and providing the test data as well. I think this is a very important part. Like for example, if there is a need to get the test data and the testers haven't got that, then business analysts, they specifically they can help in providing the test data. Is there anything anyone else who wants to add in? And if not, I'll move to the last one. I think like this is a very interesting part, that how the business analysts like they are helping the operations team. So they are like helping the operations team like doing a lot of stuff. For example, uh, identifying any business or system improvements. So for example, if in the operations there is a lot of like manual work being done, then the business analyst, they can come and like suggest some of the processes that can be automated and make the life of like operations team easy. They can help in the monitoring of the performance of the product, service or capability. They can help in monitoring the deploy in helping in deploying the product, service or capability. They can like help in responding the customer inputs on their needs, and a few other stuff like which has been listed here. One of the important things like where they can help is like updating the product documentation, and also in writing the product documentation for the operations team. For example, like if there is a guide which needs to be produced, which will be used by the operations team, then business and an analyst, they can like write those detailed user guides, so that which is helpful by the operations team in order to perform their work like more in a more satisfactory way, and more productively. So these are the few things like which I wanted to share with you all, that how a business analyst is like working with different stakeholders. I have included 8 in here, and how they are enabling them. And this marks the like end of this presentation. But at the same time, I think like I'm opening the like yeah, opening the dice for the questions. Like if someone has any questions, like if someone wants to know anything about business analyst, business analysis, or wanted to share anything, like please feel free to ask. Please feel free to share. And yeah. Anything like I'll call out some names, like anything like from you, Anand Kumar Dubey. Anyone wants anything that you want to share, want to add? No. Any questions anyone has if, from the today's session?
Thanks, Ankur. Guys, please use this opportunity to have a healthy interaction with Ankur, because he'll also be highlighting two of you as the spotlight in the leaderboard. So please use this platform.
So like if there is no question, I would just like add like a couple of other things that uh, what's the, for example, I would like to share like the career path of a business analyst. Like what are the different things that how business analysts they come in the organization, and what's their progression or career path. I think like we have time, so I'll state that. So like generally like business analysts like they basically like, as far as I have seen, they generally come from business background. And when I say business background, I do not mean like MBA or things like that. I mean the guys who have the business knowledge. For example, the guys from the customer care team, they have a very good sense of the business. I'll quote an example. For example, if someone is working in the customer care team, and like is talking to the customer, so the customer basically, what a customer will do, he or she may ask like questions like how does that like that product works. If there is, I'll quote an example. For example, if there is a retail website, and from that retail website, Bharti has bought something, like for example from Amazon. And now, and she selected something, but then he wants to, for example, cancel the order so that she can get the money back. But in the meantime, the thing has been shipped. So like the order cannot be cancelled in general, which is a, so what will happen, the order will be delivered and then it will be returned in general, in general flow scenario. But for example, if there is a thing that when Bharti received the order and she liked the order and she changed her mind again and she said that I may not be canceling it, but at the same time she has dropped an email to customer care team stating that she wants to cancel. So in that case, what a customer care team member will generally do, that will advise, okay, that these are the things that we can do and you can keep that product if in case you like it. So basically, like this is just one of the scenarios where a customer team has that core domain knowledge. And at the same time, in this scenario, if Bharti wants to return that, then the customer care team will have, like for example, a return knowledge as well, then refund knowledge as well. If there is a cancellation knowledge as well. So basically, like generally, like customer care team, they could be, as per me, they could be, like very, very strong candidates to become, like for example, business analyst or junior business analyst. But there is a lot of, like craft and skill sets required in terms of, like understand, like what are the techniques that they can use in order to identify the problem or propose a need or create a process and things like that. But that's just one way. But then, like there are people who are working in one particular domain, for example, developers or especially the testers, testers, they have very good knowledge about a domain, and then testers, they can also move in the business analysis domain, and developers too. So and when they come to in an organization, they become business analysts, and then they grow from, like business analyst to senior business analyst to lead business analyst to enterprise business analyst, and so on and so forth. And welcome, Rohit. uh, so on and so forth. So I think, like that's the career progression. And I think, like it's at any point in time, it is very, very easy for a business analyst to get or move into the role of a product owner at some point in time, because of the because they have got the domain knowledge and they know the techniques which are required for business analysis, and they understand that how to write the requirements, how to decompose the requirements, how to prioritize the requirements, how to communicate the requirements, how to create solutions of it, how to present the solutions, what information will be required for the stakeholders to make the decisions, and so on and so forth. So I think, like these are the uh, things basically, like a business analyst can do and enable different stakeholders, and how people from different domains, different jobs, they can come and become, like a business analyst. There is a very big organization which is International Institute of Business Analysis. I think that's there are two others, but I'm more closer to the International Institute of Business Analysis, where they are, like devising ways and have, like a lot of material and a certification plan as well to become and to do effective business analysis. And that's me. Anyone
Thanks,
wants to
Ankur.
add?
That's a really insightful session. I have practically also seen in one of my project BA moving into a testing role temporarily, because we had a client side BA and our like offshore BA was not able to add much value, and it was a very big team and we were short of some of the people in the testing side. So because like BA had the knowledge, so he could add, temporarily he could move into the testing role as well. So it works both ways. The testers can also move into that role and the PA can also move into if required.
100% right. Yeah. 100% agree, Pooja. Yeah. Anything else from anyone?
Just an addendum to what you said, Ankur. So I just got this chance way back, some 7 years back when I was working with a BA. So there is one thing that I like about BA. They have a lot of technique in their hand to understand the problem and to propose a solution. And I felt in some way that these all techniques. I mean, it's not a duty of a BA only to learn about these techniques. I think everybody, every person in a Scrum team should have that hold on to that technique to understand the problem and propose a solution for that. So yeah, before cultivating the skill, I would it's my personal experience that to get a hold on to that those techniques, like user story mapping is one thing to understand the problem about the user, and there is a user centric approaches as well a lot. So yeah, so business analysis will give you that opportunity to explore those techniques. But yeah, I mean, it would be better if we get enlightened about all those techniques. And yeah, so skills can be developed along the way, along the way of learning. That is something else that eventually can happen. Okay, so yeah, that is something that I, as a Scrum Master, as a product owner, learned from a business analyst. That yeah, these people have a lot of techniques in their hand. So that we should be learning.
Yes, Amit, you're absolutely right. Like, so I think like it also shows us like the minds agile mindset you have actually, because you talked about like these techniques must be with everyone. And I think like cross functional team is one of the core concepts of agile, which basically like proves what you said. And anyone, anything? Yeah, we have 2 minutes left, and I would just pass on the baton to Bharti to close the session. And yeah, that's all. And it was like great meeting you guys. All of you, please, if you have like any questions, please reach out to me. If you have any questions related to Agile, please reach out to Agile Studio. If you have any interest to learn like anything more about the Agile, like we are your like go to guys. So please come to us. Thank you.